Across the country, students spend hours studying to get into college, but student athletes have additional responsibilities on top of academics. These students have spent years training in hopes of getting that golden ticket to collegiate athletics, and many of those who make it hope they will someday go pro. However, sometimes the body can only take so much. Ohio women's basketball player Destiny Cooper knows this all too well.
I have arthritis, like really bad arthritis. Like my knees, doctors tell me I have like 60-year-old knees. It's that bad. That's how bad it is. So like, the cartilage in between your bones is very thin, like almost not even there. So like imagining your bones just crushing against each other while you run up and down the court, it's very painful. So that's what's going on. It's going on in both of them.
Destiny decided to hang up her sneakers to have a better quality of life down the road. But not all student athletes get to make that call themselves. Some have no choice but to stop competing in the sport that they love. Dr. Frederick Solomon explains what it means for an athlete to become medically disqualified.
So that's an athlete that can no longer has been deemed unacceptable or no longer able to compete. The whole issue is a little complex, and it's really, you can take it by a case-by-case basis. But essentially, it's an athlete that's been disqualified from competing.
In its medical handbook, the NCAA says it seeks to ensure that all student athletes are physically fit to participate in its championship and have valid medical clearance to participate in the competition. However, the process of medically clearing an athlete is left up to the team's physician.
I have the ultimate power or decision to remove someone, even if they want to continue playing. If I deem, given all the studies, taking the whole picture, and all the results, if I deem that individual is a harm to themselves out there and can't perform safely and compete safely, then yes, it ultimately comes down to me. So if the patient or the athlete doesn't want to be DQ'd, then it really falls on to me saying, okay, you can't. It does rest on me.
And some athletes aren't surprised by the decision. Sebastian Piquet tore his shoulder labrum twice before even beginning his collegiate career.
It would have been before my first match for OU out there in the Convo, and I was warming up and tore it again. And then that was pretty much it after that for the shoulder surgeries.
So after wrestling for 11 years in both middle and high school, PK never got the chance to represent Ohio on the mat. Wrestling, football, and soccer are considered high-impact sports. These athletes have a greater risk of being injured while playing.
We're doing like a twist drill basically, and I hit someone with my arm and grabbed them, and then they went right, and I just felt like a huge tear in my shoulder, and I just immediately turned around, just took off my helmet, and was just trainer.
Because they can no longer participate in their sports, medically DQ'd athletes have to help out their team in another way. Lagan Camp is now the student assistant for the football team, while Cooper and PK are managers for the basketball and wrestling teams, each logging at least 10 hours per week. Even though they can no longer compete, they are still a part of the team, and the physical limits of a medical DQ isn't the only part of it. It also can have devastating effects on the student athlete's mental state.
At first, it was really hard because to actually think about the fact that I'm done, I can't go back out there, that's not something, because when you get hurt, you work your way back out there and I'll be back there next year. But that after I made that decision, realizing that that's not me, I'm not hurt and I'll just get back out there next year. So that was hard.
And if you're an athlete with pro prospects, it's even harder. So sometimes medical conditions are not the only factor that goes into a medical DQ decision. Assistant Athletic Director of Sports Medicine, John Bowman, says the future career of the athlete might also be an influence.
We do have a few athletes here that will play professionally. We'll have some basketball players, some of our men's players will go play in Europe. We have one or two or three football players will play professionally for a little while. Baseball has a couple. So that has to come into factor a little bit too, is that, maybe they need to keep going because they've got a chance.
Athletes on OU's campus are speaking out about mental health awareness. PK is president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and this year, their major week-long campaign was focused on mental health. The campaign included a video centered around the slogan, "It's okay to not be okay."
People attach like a stigma to it, and it's like if you struggle with something, oh, it's like a bad thing. And I think it's important to highlight mental illness so people know that like it's not bad, and so many people struggle with it on a day-to-day basis, and to make them more comfortable so they can get the help that they need.
The best part actually is that I hope this could touch somebody somewhere, and it could bring us all together so that a lot of people won't have to go through stressing out about things about themselves. Because me personally, I know how it feels. I know how it feels to be on your last leg and you feel like the world is going wrong, and you really just truly need somebody to talk to, or somebody to at least give you a hand once in a while.
Other activities included a wall of inspirational Post-it notes in Peden and Ping, and a social media flood with tips to de-stress. But for those dealing with a permanent medical DQ, Ohio University offers a different resource to make this transition a little bit easier. A new counseling group for medically disqualified students is now available.
The NCAA, they're pushing more mental health, so definitely when you DQ an athlete, it's the mental well-being you have to worry about just as much, because you strip an athlete of their identity, and then people can struggle.
Because of the adversity these students have overcome, they have a new perspective on life. Each student had a few words to say to anyone who may be going through a similar situation.
So just kind of remember why you started something and where you're at with it, and like your current views on it, and see if that's really who you are on the inside.
I would say if you're a person and you know that this might be in your path in your future, I would say try your hardest to find something else in life that makes you just as passionate about sports, because for me, what actually really opened up my future is me watching football from the third person perspective, and then I was like, wow, I think I might want to get into coaching.
It's not everything, even though it seems like it's your whole world at the time. There's more to it, and there's more to your life than just the sport itself. Like, you're here for 4 years and you leave at 21, 22, 23, and you have the rest of your life to think about. And it's only a temporary pain. It is painful, especially if you stick around and watch, but it's still as motivating and powerful.